All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I was going to say morning, but it's not. It's about 2:30 Pacific time. I'm a little late today. We had to do some fertilizing this morning, and so we had to get that done, and so I'm running behind. Sorry about that. I'm also not going to do it live. I want to see how this works using this other software, so we'll see how this goes today, and then I'll upload it. Usually, uploading takes a while. I don't know if this one will or not. It seems to go quicker when I do things from Facebook, but I have to do it live there, so I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune. It's the 25th day of July, 2018. It's a 7-day, a number 7 day. I finished the blog post that I told you guys about yesterday. I finally finished it today, though, so, so much for synchronicity yesterday. But having to do my husband's job while I'm doing my own was a little exhausting, so I couldn't do anything last night but just sit. So anyway. So we'll do this and see how long it takes to upload, and maybe we'll do it this way instead of live from now on. I don't know. We'll see. All right. But if you want to look at that, it's kind of a long one. But it's got some other stuff in it besides the divination. But if you want to look at that, I just posted it today, that blog post. And I think it turned out pretty well. It's over at imsteppingaside.com. At Stepping Aside. That's the name of the blog. Okay, let's count 13 and see what we have for today. Now the day's half over. 13. Oh, another major arcana card. Temperance. It's the 14th card of the major arcana. And so we're talking about change. And in this case, it's typically alchemical change. The blending of fire and water. You see the angel pouring something from one chalice to another. We see the sun rising in the distance. There's some yellow irises that are here. Now, the angel has 1 foot on land and 1 foot in the little pool of water. You see the same thing in this card. Well, you see it in any star card. This, of course, is from the blog post I just did, the divination I did there. With Robinwood Tarot, it was a 6-card reading, but you can see the same theme. She's got a knee on the land and 1 foot in the water. But with Temperance, we're basically looking at moderation and balance, and adaptation, and self-control, and cooperation, and purification is another one that we can say. Healing, balance, self-restraint. I mean, the name alone basically describes, if you know what temperance means. You can say what you want to about the angel. I don't think that they are what we think they are, or what traditionally we've been told they are, but that's just me. But it basically blends will with emotion, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about fire and water. Fire is will, emotion, and water is emotion. And so we're trying to blend our will with our emotion. In the Thoth Tarot, it's called art instead of temperance. So there are some decks that will change the name. But we're talking about symmetry and balance and harmony and all of that, which is basically how we need to be. And if it's a major card, then what we're looking at is this is a soul-centered concept that's coming through to us today. Anything from the major arcana is the soul talking to us, going, hey, higher self saying, hey, guys, pay attention. I mean, it's easy to get caught up, right? But sometimes that's not really in our best interests. We can get carried away with all kinds of things. But realistically, and in its place, it's fine, you know. But sometimes if you're somebody that's always running amok, or if you're pushy, or you're just too emotional. In other words, if you're on the extremes of these things, then you might want to consider looking at that and finding a way to strike a better balance between the two. We all know people that, and then we have the people that manipulate with emotion. Okay, so they really blend their emotion with their will in an interesting way. So if you're one of those folks, knock it off. Nobody likes that. Well, this is one we've not seen before, and it's Tiwaz. It's the 17th rune of the Elder Futhark, so that would make it an 8 number. Something I talked about in the blog post I just did about numerology, I was talking about how it can be looked at, the even numbers can be looked at as like a soul progression or a progression of harmony within. And then the odd numbers can be, and more of a receptive or passive presence. And then the odd numbers can be looked at as more active presence. Some people look at it as conflict, because you like to see the 3 of swords, and you got 3 swords piercing a heart. So, I just don't necessarily think of them as a negative necessarily. So, I just prefer to call them active and passive influences. So anyway, though, Tiwaz is about the ardent male. It's about ardent male energy. It's about the warrior within, the spiritual warrior within. Again, it's a spiritual inward focus. It's about justice and order and right thinking. But really, it's about summoning up the warrior within. And let's see, the 17th. So here we are. It can indicate, it's an air element. You would think it would be a fire element. You would think that it would be like a bunch of Mars energy, but it's not. It represents the god Tyr, Tyr, dealing with justice and sacrifice. It can deal with legal issues, but primarily, what we're looking at here. Now, where did I put that card? Oh, there it is. Primarily what we're looking at here, though, is how we deal in conjunction with temperance, that is, when you're blending will with emotion, how are we going to deal with conflict today? We realize with Tiwaz, sometimes things just have to be the way they are, and we don't necessarily like it. But how we cope with that, do we get our back up? Do we become aggressive? Or maybe we become extremely emotional? Either way, we're trying to achieve an outcome sometimes when we do that. Sometimes it's not just simply an honest reaction, especially on the emotional side of it. Sometimes, our emotions just overcome us. And it's not that we're trying to achieve any purpose by reacting that way. It just happens. Now, we can say the same thing if we become aggressive about something, because maybe our passion just gets the better of us. But we want to, with Tiwaz is telling us to have higher self inform that process, so that we're not doing something that exerts our will as much as exerts our will for a higher purpose. So maybe it doesn't necessarily have to do with something that gives us personally a good outcome. We have to have the ability to discern when something that's happening is for the greater good. And that's basically what Tiwaz is saying. So when we add temperance into the mix, when we're blending will with emotion, sometimes that can get away from us, and maybe we don't have the perspective that we actually need to do that properly. And so we might actually exert our will in a way that's harmful to others, or perhaps we might manipulate, with our emotions in a way that's harmful to others or to the circumstance that we find ourselves in. So with Tiwaz, what that's telling us is that however we blend that will with emotion, let's let higher self inform that process again, so that how we come across to others is in a way that doesn't make us look self-oriented and self-serving, but that shares the perspective with others and conveys that perspective that, in fact, we're about the greater good here. So that's really, I guess, what this is then today, isn't it? That's kind of a cool one. I like that. Let me just check here in my grimoire and make sure I didn't miss anything. Sometimes I put something on the other page and I didn't though. But yeah, might for right, ideals, upholder of faith, victory, justice, order, promises, oaths, strengthens self-discipline. But at the heart of it is knowing how to exert those noble ideas without doing it in a way that's oppressive. Okay, so that's really what this is about, is expressing all of that without being oppressive in the process, and respecting the rights of others to live as they choose and believe as they choose. So anyway, I'll end this and see if I can find it and upload it. If I don't, then I guess I'm going to have to do this a live stream. And I just don't know after that. So anyway, thanks a lot for stopping by. And I'm Jan Erickson with Stepping Aside. This is Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune. And hopefully we will see you tomorrow. And again, thanks for stopping by. Blessed be.